Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning into Network Live TV, where we're going to talk about how to increase your networking efforts locally, nationally, or even internationally, as well as discuss things that will help you up your game online. And we are here weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. I am your host, Sabrina Watson, founder of NetworkLiveVirtually.com, where you can grow your business through creating live virtual relationships all over the globe. Our meetings and membership are totally free, so don't miss your chance to network and build relationships with amazing people. I know so many people are using social media these days to do just that, but we really want to kind of move that into meeting real people, not just on text, but we're going to talk about that. I want to let our audience know that we are looking for people who are absolutely serious about building their brand and their businesses while establishing their authority and creating a larger circle of influence to join us on Network Live Virtually as hosts. The people that we would be talking to would have three main qualities. They're team players, they're self-motivated, and they're dependable. So if you feel like you have these qualities, please reach out to me and let's talk about the benefits of being a host with NetworkLiveVirtually.com. I want to thank my guests today for taking time out of their busy schedules to come hang out with us today. We have Miss Sherry Medini and we have Keisha A. Rivers Shorty. So good morning, ladies, and thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
So it is Thursday, the 17th. What's on your plate for the weekend?
For the weekend?
Yeah.
Like we were chatting before we started recording, you were saying that you get a lot done in the evenings. Mine is similar. Evenings, weekends, when the husband's home to take care of the kids and I can jump in, get into that flow and knock out a ton of stuff in the shortest amount of time. How about you, Keisha?
Well, I have a new rhythm and flow, as I call it. I have a conference I'm going to on tomorrow in Charlotte. So I'm driving from Charleston tonight after I get through teaching a class. So pretty much my Saturdays I spend now recharging. And I might go to a meeting or a conference or something like that. Sundays are like my rest days. I am non-negotiable about that because the rest of the week is usually crazy.
Yep.
So Saturday is like downtime, kind of wrap up a little bit of things. And then Sunday is nothing but rest. So I had to start implementing that schedule because the rest of the week is just completely off the chain. It's beast mode, as I call it, the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be totally with you, Sherry, when I would do weekends were like my time to get all my work done because I couldn't get anything done during the week, like Keisha and I talked about late last night. But I recently went to a Danny Johnson conference down in San Antonio, and I realized that I needed to do what Keisha's doing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you need to make sure you have that balance for sure.
Yeah.
And I kind of find that throughout the week, I need a little bit more time in the evenings once the kids go to bed to decompress, to unwind. I was going through that cycle of trying to work during the week whenever I could, and it was becoming more stressful than setting aside a chunk of time separately. So absolutely, it's going to look different, and that's going to look different, depending on what stage of life my family's at. It's something that we need to constantly be evaluating and figuring out, what's going to make you the most productive, what's going to make you the happiest, what's going to keep you from burning out.
Now, one of the things that I talk a lot about is what I call rhythm and flow, which is just like you said, Sherry, it's finding out what works best for you based on what your natural rhythms are at that moment in time for your life. And it's going to change each time. Before, I was kind of like you. I did a whole lot of stuff on the weekends because during the week I was taking my mom to doctor's appointments and, I had all of these other commitments, and it seems like I could never get anything done for me. So I would catch up on all the business stuff over the weekend because it was an uninterrupted time. Nobody was going to be calling me or emailing me or anything like that. And then it shifted to the late nights like Sabrina was doing, where it's like, it's quiet. Nobody's dinging me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Nobody's inboxing me. So I can get all this stuff done. And I would be this night owl that would work until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And during the day, I'd start later in the day, and then I'd work on client stuff. So you're right. It just changes. And like I always tell people, you have to listen to your body and listen to what works for you emotionally as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm at this stage now where I don't want to work on the weekends unless it's absolutely necessary. So I'll go I'll use those times to go to a conference that's on Friday, and then I'll take some time Saturday to kind of decompress and look at all the stuff that I've learned. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it looks different for everybody. And it's really cool that we can all acknowledge that it's different and not be in that competition mode of saying, well, you're doing it wrong, type of thing. But, I think it's great when we can adjust.
Absolutely. Let me do a quick, I want to introduce everybody to Sherry first. Do you pronounce it Sherry?
I do. You got it right.
That's the one thing, names can be so tough. So
I know. Well, and Sherry, you can spell it like a million different ways. But
I was interviewing a gal whose last name was spelt Violet. And then we went through the whole interview and I was saying Violet and she says, well, it's Violet.
Oh,
so
that's funny.
I've learned to start
out to whatever.
Yeah, I hear that. So let me introduce everybody to Sherry. Sherry Medini lives in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania with a supportive husband and 2 busy little boys. Sherry blogs at momshar.com. She's the creator of Mom Blogging Academy and is the co-host of the Push Pull Sales and Marketing Podcast. Keep up with her on social media. You can find her on Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest, Twitter, and Periscope. Wow. Good morning to everybody joining us. Good morning, Sherry. So give everybody a breakdown. Let's talk about you for a minute, who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of tough questions, but the gist of it is I quit my typical job to stay home with my first son, who is 5 years old now. It was a leap I wanted to do for him. I felt that it was right for me, but I was home, I needed something other than diapers to occupy my mind. I wanted to have a plan where I could have an outlet for me in the parenting realm, have an outlet, to be using my brain, to be thinking about other stuff, and to kind of be building something that I might be able to use down the road. And that's where I kind of fell into blogging. I had an opportunity to be a featured blogger for whattoexpect.com, the What to Expect When You're Expecting. And that kind of opened the door to, me realizing that this was a real thing. Like I could get paid to write online during nap time or after bedtime or whatever. I was totally hooked. So that turned into, before my second son was born, about almost 3 years ago, he'll be 3 in April, I launched momshare.com, and it was kind of my place to have a living resume, essentially, it was half therapy, I think, in the beginning to be able to write about parenting stuff. It was, I wanted to be helpful. I wanted to be of support to other moms. And I wanted to show people, and get that experience of building a website, of starting up social platforms, of writing, day in and day out. And it has built skills that then I've been able to transfer over to other freelance work and actually make it happen because I have my corner of the internet to say, I did this, I built this, I could do that for you too. And that's kind of where Mom Blog Academy came in as well. Was I wanted to, after 5 years of experience of the trial and error and the figuring out what works but what might work a little bit better, what are some tools you can use, I wanted to pass on that practical information because I feel like inspiration is huge and the cheerleading is huge to some extent. But we're not going to get anywhere if we don't have the practical tools, resources, and information to actually do it. So that's where Mom Blog Academy came from. The Push Pull Sales podcast is, which is pushpullsales.com, iTunes, and all of that. I wanted to podcast because I love learning new things. I love checking out new platforms, and I wanted to do it. But it had started, to become this thing where all of my projects through MomShare and everything else were taking away time from my husband, taking away time from that relationship. And it was something that I'm like, I want to do this. Do you want to do it with me? And we can actually have scheduled time to talk to each other for a change instead of it being another thing where I'm like, I have to go work and lock myself in the office kind of thing. So that came from that. We've been enjoying it. It's definitely taken a back seat to the other things that obviously are priority, but it's fun to have that side project and watch that grow organically.
Cool.
Wow. So you have scheduled time to talk. I know. Here's what I found interesting. Did you just say you have scheduled time to talk to your husband? You guys are like podcasting together?
Yeah. Yep. So it's like, all right, instead of, it's time to, and it's kind of focused on him. He's a sales manager for his company. And I wanted it to be more of his thing, his passions, what he knows. So, I get to bring the marketing side of things, and we get to sit down and talk to each other. And it's kind of garnered a deeper respect for our professional side of ourselves. We've always respected the personal side of ourselves. But it's unique to take it to another level in that relationship, to be like, wow, you really know what you're talking about. Like, he impresses me on a regular basis, his knowledge of sales stuff, and doing it, in a way that gets great results and builds those relationships. And I learn a lot from him, and I gain a deeper respect for what he does at his 9 to 5.
Awesome.
Wow. I got to say, that's a super cool way to meet your husband.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
To really know him, because I think we know our spouses on superficial levels, or is that just crazy to say that?
Well, and again,
Naturally.
It's another one of those things that kind of ebbs and flows. I mean, when we met in college, and we spent 24/7 together. We would eat meals together. We would go to each other's classes. We would walk together. We did everything together. And then real life comes along, right? And you have jobs that take you separate places, and you have kids that kind of split your time. And it turns into something where, sometimes I feel like you are more parallel than walking together, which there's merit in that too, so it's just kind of a matter of touching back in and having the realization that, like, I don't want another thing that takes time away from you, but I still want to do this thing. Let's see if we can do it together.
Wow, that is super cool. I want to introduce Miss Keisha to everybody real quick, and then we're going to ask her some of the same questions. She is a strategist, a consultant, a speaker, and an author. Keisha A. Rivers Shorty assists clients to fuel their passions, align with their purpose, and build their legacy by enhancing their knowledge of self, knowledge of strategies, and knowledge of systems. Wow. As the founder and managing consultant of the CARS Group Limited, Ms. Rivers Shorty specializes in providing personal and professional development services that enable clients to achieve their goals in these 3 knowledge areas by participating in released and ready workshops, retreats, Beast Mode Boot Camp Strategy Development Series, and the CARS Institute training sessions. Okay. That's a lot. So fill us in on that, Keisha, before I go. I mean, there's a lot more on here on your bio about you that's very interesting, but fill us in on just that. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, the CARS Group was built out of my love for teaching. I feel very strongly in that. And CARS actually stands for Knowledge Always Reigns Supreme. And, I'm like you, Sherry, where, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of motivation and inspiration that's out there. But my thing is, what are the strategic steps and the action plans to get you from where you are to where you want to be? So I focus on personal and professional development because there are people that aren't happy personally in terms of where they are and who they are, and kind of helping them. The release and ready part is helping them to release all of the baggage, but also to release who they are and their gifts, talents, and abilities. And then to get ready for that by giving them tangible strategies of, okay, what does this look like? And how can I be successful at it? Because everybody goes to these motivational things and they're like, hey, you can be all you can be, and you can be a success, and, you can make 6 figures in 2 minutes. And,
Yeah.
But there's nothing that actually, when you leave, you might feel good, but then you go back to real life and you're like, what do I do with all this? So what I do is I work with people on discovering who they are and how they are, so that they can turn their life into what they want it to be. And if that's in your job or in your business or in your nonprofit or whatever, then there's all these tools and resources and everything else that I teach you how to use. But my philosophy is about, I don't want you to constantly have to come back to be fed. I want to teach you how to fish so that you can feed yourself, and then understand what you don't know so that you can understand how to get the knowledge that you need so that you can be better. So it's great. I've been doing a lot of training and speaking, and I love my Beast Mode boot camps. They're awesome.
Well, tell us about those. We want to hear about all that kind of stuff, because we're really here to just educate people on what's available out there, how they can find it, how they can find you, and how to benefit from the things that you guys offer. Because let's be honest for a minute. When we're on Facebook and all those places, whether it be Pinterest, Facebook, all that kind of stuff, all we ever get to really give is a little tiny glimpse of who we are. So in order for people to really get the whole know, like, and trust factor, they really have to have an opportunity like this.
Yeah.
Where they really get to just hear everything about you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, your family, your goals, your life, your God, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
And this is a great platform, because a lot of times when people post stuff and you post your articles and you post your updates and all that, they, like you said, they only get a small snippet. They really don't get to see you and hear you and all of that unless they come to an event. So this is a great platform for that. And actually the direction that my business is going in now, and especially with Released and Ready and with my Beast Mode boot camps, it came out of an issue where I had to completely retool my business about 5 years ago, because I ended up in the hospital and I had to have emergency hysterectomy, and I ended up with complications. So I was in the hospital for 14 days. And you guys know what it's like running your own business. And if you're the one that's doing everything, you can't be out of commission that long. So 14 days in the hospital. And then after that, it took me about a year to be able to get back to work. And I was taking the 32 pills a day. I couldn't work. I couldn't see. You work by internet and your eyesight's like crap. So you can't be on the computer. And so one of the things I realized is that the question that kept coming to my mind was like, wait, is this it? I've built this consulting business. I've been doing all this stuff. I'm running myself ragged. And now, is this all there is? So Released and Ready came about because I understand, especially with women, men as well, but we all get to that point in our lives where, you decided this is what I wanted to be when I grow up, and you got a job and you started doing this and you started doing that. And then you get to a certain point and you're like, yeah, but is this it? What else is there? What do I really want to do? And so Released and Ready actually there are several different components. Every year I do a different theme. This year I'm actually doing what's called a Mastering Me theme. And it's all about getting to know you and mastering who you are. Because again, when you do all that motivational stuff and you go in and you have opportunities to, even go to your Blogger Academy, there are things that we run into that hold us back from doing what we really want to do, or we say we want to do. So this year's theme is Mastering Me. And I actually have a Mastering Me retreat that I'm doing in November. It's a 7-day cruise. We're going to Puerto Rico. We're going to the Bahamas. We're going to Turks and Caicos. So it's 7 days of you. And I do a cruise because when you're on a cruise, you can't check your phone. You can't get any updates. You're secluded.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah, that's smart.
So you unplug, but especially, and I do them for women. I take a maximum of 20 women. So there's usually about 10 to 15 women on average that go. This year, we're going to go to Miami for Ladies Night Out on Friday night. And then Saturday, we're leaving to go on this cruise, and we're going to be on the ship. And the great thing about it is, for once, you get pampered. That's why I love cruises, because everything's included. They make my bed. They put, mints on my pillow at night. Everything is there for me. And so what I do with that is there's a whole week where we're going to these places, and the whole part of Mastering Me. And the way that I do these is we'll have one session the first day at sea, and then we'll have another session the second day of sea when we're coming back. But in between that, it's set up as a scavenger hunt. I give you a journal. I give you questions to consider. I give you things that you need to explore. And during the Mastering Me retreat, you're going to discover, you're going to do activities that help you to master you and get over some things for you. So, and we'll have calls and stuff before then. The other thing that I do with my Beast Mode boot camps is those are all strategy sessions. So whatever your issue is, your problem is, your focusing question, we come together and we strategize. Okay, what's the problem? What's the issue? Where are we trying to get to? What are the action steps? You actually implement some stuff. If it's one of my my Beast Mode Bootcamp 90-day sessions, you implement some stuff and come back. Okay, that didn't work. What do I need to tweak? All of that. So Beast Mode is about let's get in here, let's get it done. I don't actually give you enough time to think about it and talk your way out of it. Because, you know, if we have too much time on our hands to think about what we're doing, we'll talk ourselves out of it. So, but all the information about all that is on my website at karsgroup.com, and it's KARS group.com. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a Pinterest account, and I think there are a couple of pins on there, but I haven't gotten back to that. And Snapchat is a completely new territory for me. I haven't even tried yet. But
it's got me hooked. I'm new to it, and I'm hooked.
Snapchat's got you hooked, Sherry?
Yep.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I don't want to get in. It's like I'm kind of venturing into Blab, and I think I've done 2 scopes, but it's like with me, I have to find the platform that I'm going to stick with. And so I'll, stick a toe in and go, okay, I'll try that. But if I know I'm not going to consistently do it, then I just kind of stick it on the side. So I'm going to kind of have to go in and look at it and see what people are doing. Because even doing this was on one of my personal and professional development goals, because I don't like video.
Really?
Yes, I don't like. Now I've been on a TV segment like Charleston. I was on the local Channel 4 affiliate, the ABC affiliate, and I did a monthly segment called Nonprofit Know-How. So I was on TV every month doing a segment. Hate video. Loathe it. Because I end up looking at myself, oh my gosh, my hair's like, do my eyes look like this? And so doing this was actually one of my things where I was going to challenge myself to step out into this platform, because there was a couple of people that I know, they say, Keisha, reading your stuff is great. Even listening to your stuff, because I'll do radio shows and podcasts all day. But they said there's something about being in a room when you're speaking and seeing you. So you got to do more video. And I'm like, yeah, right. We'll get back to that. So this
Isn't that interesting when other people are able to see it more clearly than we are? And that's how kind of same thing with Mom Blog Academy, that someone was like, you're great on Periscope. You need to do a video e-course. And for me, it was the first time I had put myself, in front of the camera. I was always behind the laptop and writing it out. Yeah. And it was a different thing to speak it, even through the podcast and through Periscope and through the e-course. And I feel like that practice has been huge for me. I got asked to go speak at a conference, and it wasn't this huge, scary thing again. I didn't have the same kind of nerves. I'm like, I'm used to this. I'm used to just ad-libbing it, jumping on Blabber, jumping on Periscope, and being live in front of people. Now I get to prepare for it, for months leading up to it. It's not, the more you practice it, the easier it gets. And I think that that's really, really valuable, and something that gets underrated a lot on social media. Social media forces you to practice the writing skills, the marketing skills, the sales skills, the interpersonal stuff, day in, day out. Yeah.
And the thing about it that I love is that there's so many times when we get so wrapped up in what we do on a day in and day out basis. I mean, I'm working with clients, I'm setting up meetings, I'm doing research, I'm working on client projects, that a lot of times we move further and further away from engaging with people and just talking to people and having them ask us questions and having them see us. Because one thing about it is, I went through this little stint after I, got back on my feet and everything. And so I went through this little stint where I was asked to model in a friend of mine's fashion show. And I hadn't done any of that since college. And I was just like, hey, the confidence booster, I'm going to go and do this because, after the surgeries and everything, I'd gained a lot of weight. My hair had fallen out. I wasn't feeling too great. So I went into this, and that one show sparked what I call my year of modeling. It was like the farewell tour. I did all of these, fashion shows, and there were these photo shoots and all of this that I was doing at 42 that I hadn't got a chance to do when I was younger. So it was great. And so, of course, everybody's posting these pictures of me on Facebook and Pinterest and all that. And so people, when they saw me, they saw this polished, get together, well put together, made up person that, oh, well, you can't possibly understand my struggles with myself because you look perfect. You can't possibly understand what it is to struggle with not knowing what you want to do because you're on TV. You can't possibly know what it is to feel fear or to not feel confident in yourself because of, the way you look. And then when I write things and they read it, they look at it and say, oh, well, this sounds great. You've got this all put together. Mm-hmm. So having the opportunity to actually share some of that vulnerability, and especially with you, Sherry, going through sharing in your blog, the ins and outs and the days and the ups and downs of being a mom and the adjustments and all that, that's what draws people to us because they see the stories and they're able to engage. And it's not so much advertising where we're just pushing out, hey, buy this and, sign up for this and all that. It's more so engagement and connection, and people actually get to know who you are and what you stand for and why you do what you do. There's, you guys may actually kind of learn, be able to see it, but I don't speak about what I do without having passion about it. It's just impossible. Mm-hmm. And Sherry, I could see the same thing with you and Sabrina. There's no way for you to talk about your life's work or what you're engaged in without being passionate about it. Yeah. And a lot of times people miss that when they're just reading a blog or they're just reading this, unless they can hear your voice and get to see that.
I think that's part of why Snapchat has really taken off too, is that it gives such a personal, untouched glimpse into somebody's life. I think it's kind of what Instagram originally intended, for you to be posting live in the moment. And then, we kind of took it and turned it into something where you have to be perfect and you have to use the right filters and you have to whatever. Snapchat has kind of taken it back to that. You get, 10-second video clips to get a point across. You get, there's a couple filters, but nothing that great. And the people that are most effective on there are using it almost as like a vlogging platform or like, a behind the scenes, and you don't have to put as much thought into what you're doing because it's there today, it's gone tomorrow. And, here's my true day-to-day life. This is what a day in the life looks like for me. And that's, people use it in different ways, but that's what has drawn me to it, was that I get to share those smaller moments. And I also wanted to touch on, you had kind of started that concept, and, I've thought a lot about the concept of when we reach that point of burnout and frustration and just feeling like, having my own business, wouldn't it just be so much easier to just go get a 9-to-5? That a lot of times that stems from loneliness. A lot of time that stems from you being the person that's doing it all, you being the person that's working from home, and putting in the long hours and feeling like, part of the struggle of working from home is like, you feel like you should always be doing something. Yeah. You're always in your office. There's always more you could be doing. Yeah. And, I had to recently take the time to really reconnect with friends and make time for that, and realize that, I was always worried that if I go out to dinner this week, that's an evening that I won't get stuff done. And what you don't realize is that's such a huge recharge. We started off talking about that in the beginning, but it's so important to keep those family and friend and business relationships as well, professional relationships.
Because you can't, and I wrote a LinkedIn article on it. You can't give from an empty cup. And being around others recharges you. It also allows you to step away from what you're engaged in and what you're doing, because it's so easy to get sucked into this where, okay, I have to get this and I have to do this and I have to do that. I started this thing, and I work with my clients on it when we talk about rhythm and flow. Is I don't do rigid calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do have times that are available for certain things, and I kind of take a project approach because I look at it globally. And
Right.
I started doing that because when I was looking at it very specific in terms of a minute period of time, I would get so bogged down in the to-do list. Oh my gosh, I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to check this off. And then, of course, when you're checking something off and you start doing that, then you add more stuff to the bottom of the to-do list and you never get done.
Right.
So I started working as a project approach, and I take a global approach to it and say, okay, this is in general what I need to get done and what I want to get accomplished. And here are my major points that I want to do. And I give myself a fluid amount of time to do it where, you know what, one of these days I might be in a writing mood. So I'm going to write all the copy and everything that has to do with that. Another time, I don't want to write. I just want to think.
Yeah.
And thinking is actually doing something.
Yeah,
I
totally.
really had to learn that being quiet and sitting there next to the beach or next to the water, or, you know, just, I've got a CD of ocean waves. Don't judge me. Because I have a picture that's hanging on my wall. So I stare at the picture of the beach and I have the ocean waves playing in the background. And so when you do that, you transport yourself into another place outside of your immediate environment where you feel like you're more free.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be all like, oh my gosh, I have to do this.
Yes.
Because you're able to tap into that.
And you're so much more productive that way too. You know, the point of when you're in a writing mood, then you write. You know, it's impossible to sit down and get your thoughts out in a way that you want to get them across, and in a, you know, efficient manner. There's times where I'm like, oh, I have a deadline, and I try to do it when I'm not in the mood, and it would take me 3 times as long, and I'm not happy with the end product. So you learn to recognize and take advantage of those times where I'm like, ooh, I'm feeling energetic, I'm in a good mood, I'm in a, you know, thoughtful space. I better take advantage of it. I better write, you know, 3 blog posts. Like, right. I better do it now because, and I think it's an interesting part of having your own business is that you have the flexibility to acknowledge that and take advantage of that and really be introspective in that regard of, you know, what's going to be the best task for me today. Right. And I love that I have a wide variety of tasks. You know, am I in the mood to work on something for somebody else? Am I in the mood to jump on Periscope and talk instead of type? Am I in the mood to, you know, watch Netflix? Like, you have that as long as you're getting that balance throughout the week, throughout the month, or whatever it might be. And my kids have absolutely taught me that as well. I mean, there's no such thing. I could write out a schedule for the week, hour by hour, and then someone gets sick, you know, or someone, you know, decides that they're having a fussy day and don't want to leave my side. Like, oh, well, there goes that, you know. So,
but see, you know, but the great thing about it is a lot of times what we don't do is we don't build our lives into our life.
Right.
Like our planners run us. I mean, our schedule, my phone goes off and okay, this is what you have scheduled this time. And then you've got the list and all of that. But when we're, especially as entrepreneurs, we're not building our lives and living into our life. And so when I was, you know, going through all of that and I kept asking, well, is this it? It was because I was like, I didn't have a life. All I did was client stuff. All I did was work related stuff.
Right.
You know, I didn't have my time for me. So I build in like my 15 minutes 4 times a day. I got to have 15 minutes where I don't do anything else for anybody else except me. If that means I go and I get Starbucks and I sit next to the water, that's what I do. If that means that I go in and I start watching a video, or I go and I watch a TED Talk, or I go for a walk, 15 minutes 4 times a day just for me. And I started building that back in, because then you start introducing and building yourself back into your business.
Yeah.
And that goes for whether or not you're working or you're working for yourself.
Yeah. And realizing, you know, I had to hit a point where, because in my head, I was like, if I can make this much a month freelancing, that'll be great. Like, that'll be awesome. And then I hit that point And I was still going, like, here, what's the next? I could make more. And I had to take the step back and say, I hit this goal. This is what I was hoping freelancing would do for me. Mm-hmm. So now I need to reap the benefits of that. I'm working from home so that I can do X, Y, and Z and have the flexibility instead of having it take over my life.
Yeah. And so many times I have so many people who are just starting a business that are working with me. They'll come to a Beast Mode boot camp, or, they'll want to be clients, or they'll be in one of my groups. And I always try to do the smaller groups with them because they need to, share with each other. And I don't want them to get caught in the isolation of entrepreneurship. But also because I go through and I have a life component to that. Okay, when you're planning out your week, what are the things that you're going to do in order for you to make sure that you're spending some time focusing on you? And for a lot of people, especially women who are moms and wives and they're doing a business, they feel so selfish. Well, I can't take any time for me because of the kids, and I got to get this done for my clients, and I got to do this with my husband, and I'm like, yeah, but if you're depleted and you're ornery and irritable, and
that's a good word that doesn't get used often enough.
Yeah, I know. I like the ornery one. If you're ornery and irritated and everything, you're not going to be any good to anybody else.
Right.
And so it's not about being selfish. It's about having self-love. I love myself enough to spend time with me. I love myself enough to, okay, if I need to binge watch this series on Netflix. I mean, I went through I watched Friends, like all 10 years worth of Friends.
In one weekend?
Yeah. In one weekend. I started on Friday and it was
That's great.
I didn't get out of bed. I went and got some popcorn. One weekend, the whole thing, 10 years awesome. Worth of Friends. And afterwards I was like, okay, now I can go back to work.
Yeah.
But it was just, I take myself to the movies now because you have to do that. Mm-hmm. And when you do things where every single entrepreneur gets to that point where they're like, you know what? I'm just going to submit my resume, get a job. I can't do it anymore. I'm tired.
Oh, yes.
I don't want to be responsible for this anymore because it's a lot of pressure. Like I told a friend of mine, I was like, hey, if I'm going to get laid off, if I'm working for myself, I know when I'm going to get laid off because I know what I'm doing or not doing. Mm-hmm. But there's still that thing of we all do it because we want the freedom and the control, but we control, but we don't integrate the freedom. And so, I think that's something huge that we really need to make sure that people understand that, it's about connecting with each other. It's connecting with yourself. You want to build your business and grow your business and everything else, but you still want to actually create a life and not just working on doing tasks.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the other interesting concept of entrepreneurship is, I get a lot where I feel a lot of motivational stuff or things that I watch or read. It's, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want this to go? And up until recently, I always struggled with that because I never had an end game in mind. It was like, I want to be doing this for today. I want to be enjoying this today. And I might make a different decision tomorrow. All of a sudden, Momshare might not be where my interest is anymore. And I want to be able to pivot in that. So I'm always kind of, just recently I began to accept that about myself instead of seeing it as a fault that I don't do well thinking long term, to see it as an advantage that today I do what's best for me today. Yeah, I do what's best for my family today. I do it best for my business today. And especially in this digital realm, Blab could cease to exist tomorrow. Like it's just we have to be ready to change.
Plan. Blab's not there anymore.
Right. Like we just have to be ready to run with it and to have our hands in a lot of different things and always be ready to experience something new, learn something new, and challenge ourselves. Just like you are doing. I think. Yeah, I'm looking at the comments too. You couldn't have a 5-year business plan. Yeah. And I think that a lot of big companies and big brands get stuck in this where they're not agile enough to be able to pivot and take advantage of the digital marketing that they could be taking advantage of. You know, they're stuck in a lot of traditional outlets. And when I go and have the, you know, I'm able to do the marketing consulting for some of these businesses, I get a lot of walls put up, you know, like, well, that's not how we do things.
Right.
And it's, you know, why is it? What?
It's like, that's why they're talking to you. You're like, how's that working out for you?
Right. And I'm like, you wanted me to come, you know, help you because you see that it's working for me and you see that it's an interesting new take. And it is, you know, the cool thing about digital marketing is you can take a lot of steps without really any risk. You know, a lot of things, try it. Yeah. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, you spend a little bit of time, try it. Do it. Yeah. See what happens.
And it comes down to there's a huge fear of failure. Like failure, you know, and fear and all of that has gotten a hugely bad rep. Yeah. And I always tell people it's not about failure. It's about finding out what didn't work and learning. That's the only way. The only way a baby learns how to walk is that they try it and they fall on their bottom. That's the only way. Right. And we really discount our learning and our growth because we're afraid to take a risk. We're afraid to try something new. We're afraid of saying, well, that didn't work out. I mean, you have to get rid of this whole notion of fear being a bad thing. Mm-hmm. You know, the reason why we naturally have fear is because, one, it protects us, but two, it also lets us know, hey, you're moving out of that comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And that's an actual good thing because you can't grow if you don't expand your zone. Right. There's absolutely no ways of doing it. Mm-hmm.
Not that I want to interrupt, but I want to throw this thought in there and see what you have to say about this. Isn't a little bit of that fear simply because we're so used to being constantly beat up by everybody around us? You can't do this. You're not supposed to do that. You won't be any good at that. You're going to fail at that. No, you're ugly. You're fat, whatever. Yep.
Exactly. And one of the things that I talk about a lot with my Released and Ready approach is that, and when I talk about mastering me and I talk about looking inside yourself, is because your validation is not going to come from other people. You can't make your life about being validated or liked or followed or whatever by other people. And when other people start telling you you can't do things, it's not that they're saying you can't do it. They're saying they can't do it, and they're projecting their fear and their hesitancy onto you.
Ooh, that's powerful.
You know, I'm the type of person, I will move to another city and not know a soul. I mean, I actually did that.
I've done that a few times.
You know, I pick up and I go, hey, this would be a nice place to live. And I go, and that's it. Or I'll go visit someplace. I mean, my friends laugh at me because I do what they call a milk run. Because they'll say, okay, where are you today? I mean, because I'll end up, you know, in a 4-hour radius. I've driven there and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting milk from Savannah today. I mean, but whenever you try to push the boundaries in terms of what you want to do to make yourself better and to explore things, other people naturally say, whoa, you can't do that, because if you do it, then there's really no excuse why I'm not doing it. So you can't do it because I don't want to do it. So therefore, we're both going to stay stuck.
Right. And I think the other thing that gets people stuck a lot of times is worrying about doing things the right way. Like, I need the perfect plan and I need this, and this to all fall into place before I can take that step. And it's just not that way. I mean, I tell people all the time, they're like, yeah, but don't I need this to start my blog? And I'm not sure. And I'm like, just do it. Just get something up there. I don't care if you have the perfect logo or the perfect tagline or the perfect images. I don't care. Just do it. Just start writing, because you learn that way. You know, my first blog posts at momshare.com are cringeworthy. It was me figuring out what I wanted to write about. It was a lot of me mimicking what other people were doing before finding my own voice. Exactly. And that's a process that you have to do for yourself, that you're never going to find your voice if you don't start doing it. Exactly. And you're never going to get good at, you know, talking on camera or whatever else. You know, my husband says a lot of times, like his salespeople that he's training, you know, they come in and they're like, well, I don't want to cold call people because I need to like practice it a little bit, or I need to like figure out the script. He's like, no, You need to cold call. Like, that's the only way you're going to get good at this, because it's always a different situation. And the time's passing, whether we're working on those skills or not. You know, it's just like, I have a close friend that got her doctorate recently. And it feels like just yesterday when she was considering joining the program, and she did it. Like, she didn't think about it for very long. She did it. Right. And then that time passed, and here she is on the other side. Right. And so I don't think, too often we get held up on doing things the right way. Yeah. And there's best practices, there's advice that we can give, but ultimately it comes down to what's going to be best for you. You know, like you said, every social media platform isn't the best for you. It's not going to work the best. So it's a matter of, evaluating it and either putting it to the side and clearing up that brain space and saying, this isn't right for me, or it's a matter of, let's try it.
Yeah. And one of the things that you said over and over again is great. You have to find your voice. Right. You have to find your way of doing it. Because a lot of people will say when they see best practices, they see only practices. Best practices is just, here are some things that we found that worked. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Right. I am not an in-person, we're going to have, client meetings where I drive, an hour and meet with you in an office and all that. I don't do that. I am great by phone because I'm a multitasker. Mm-hmm. I can be on the phone with you. We come up with an idea. Oh, at the same time, I'm emailing you. I found this. Here's the link. Record. Yes. I work simultaneously. And if I've got my home office set up where all of my resources are here, I want to stay in my little cocoon where I've got all my stuff. And when I'm talking to you, I can send you stuff.
Doesn't that just drive you crazy? I just sat in on a consulting session recently where I was like, we were talking about target audience, like who's your target persona? I brought along a worksheet and I was like, let's dive in. Let's do it. Let's figure this out. We can do it. And they're like, wow, we're going to schedule a separate meeting to do that another time. And I'm like, what? Do it now. We're here now. Like, let's do it. Let's dive in. Like, I don't understand. And I think that's what's helped me be successful in that is that I'm willing to just, sometimes to a fault, like, let's do it now.
Yeah. But the thing about it, that's great because that time between when you think about it and when you actually do it, you have time to talk yourself out of it, or you have time for other people to talk you out of it. Right. And so when you have that, there's this image that I usually post, and it's of this cat that's jumping off of a television. And I mean, he's like full spread out. I mean, legs and everything. And it says regret nothing.
Right.
And that's the way I pretty much look at it. People talk to me. I was like, I don't have any regrets. Even the stuff that I quote unquote failed at or that I bombed at, I don't have any regrets because it's something I wanted to do. And it's something I learned from. So if we keep going through this whole thing of, well, it's got to be perfect, then you're going to miss the mark and you're not even going to get started. Yeah. So
you're not going to find what might be perfect for you. Exactly. A lot of times it's a path of figuring out what's going to work best for you. And then, like I said, when I started out, I was like, well, bloggers do like DIY projects and they write recipes and they do, they complain about their spouses and their kids. Right. And then I realized that is not what is right for me, but it took me doing it to realize that my strength came into telling things from my perspective. Here's what's worked for me. Here's what's been hard for me. Here's something that might help you because it helped me. And understanding, that was where I fit into the blogging world, even though it might be slightly different than what I had typically read.
Yeah. And that's the one thing is that I always tell people beware of too much information.
Yes.
Because when you read too much of the gurus and the success stuff and all of that, you find yourself trying to imitate somebody else. Mm-hmm. And that never works because you're always going to feel like an imposter. You're never going to feel like you can really do this because it's always somebody else's voice. If you're trying to be a speaker and you want to emulate, Tony Robbins and Les Brown and all that, it can't work because you're not going to be able to keep that up. And in the back of your mind, you're always going to be, okay, they're going to find me out today. Right. They're going to find me out. All right, it's over. They're going to find me out. The jig is up. So you can't do that. You have to be you. And it was interesting because I've been interviewing for strategic partners and fulfillment consultants and instructors to come on for my company. And I've had people more and more who are like, I want to be like you. I want to model myself after you. So I want to learn how you do it. And I want to work with you so I can learn and I can be, I'm like, you can't be me. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You can look at the things I do. I can give you some guidance and some strategies. And that's why I work with strategy. It's like, I'll tell you, okay, how do you think strategically in terms of determining what's best for you? It doesn't look the same way.
Yeah. And I think that this even goes beyond the business realm of, what kind of content you're surrounding yourself with. If you are constantly surrounding yourself with negative news stories or, the downer stuff and the frustrating stuff, your worldview actually changes. They've done studies based on what you see in your Facebook newsfeed actually affects your mood and what you want. So it's so important to do the digital spring cleaning, to clear out, make sure that it's amazing, right? And to know that you don't have to dread looking at your phone, that if a notification comes up, that it's something that you want to be in front of you. It's refreshing to be able to scroll through a Facebook feed or an Instagram feed and love everything that you're seeing. And it's, of course, being able to disconnect is positive as well. And surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you be in that positive space. It goes beyond business because it'll help your business as well, of course, but
because it'll help you.
Right.
And I actually had I got a new phone, upgraded to a Note 5. And in the process of transferring everything, of course, they have the smart switch, you put the phone side by side and, you can transfer it. So I got all my images, I got my contacts, I got, my pictures that I take when I go out and walk on the beach. I got all the great stuff. And then I had to, it didn't automatically transfer my email settings. So, and because when I went to log into my server, they switched platforms and I could no longer see my old email address, my old email password. I would have to change my password in order to set it up on my phone. Now, I've got about 10 different email accounts. Yeah. And I have the Cars Group, and then I have the Nonprofit Institute, and then I have, a couple of other projects and stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't too, finding it too, it wasn't a good thing for me to have to change all 10 email addresses, because then I'd have to do it on my laptop and then I'd have to do it on my tablet.
Right.
So for the last month, well, actually about maybe 3 weeks, I have not had email on my phone.
Yeah.
Ooh. And I realized
That's brave.
email on my phone.
Yeah.
Because for me, I was always, you could always get me. Always.
Right. Well,
and I realized,
go ahead.
I don't like being connected like that anymore.
Yeah.
So that was something that was a huge shift for me. So I'm not going to put my business email on my phone.
Yeah.
It's going to force me to have to get into, okay, I'm going to sit at my laptop and I'm going to check my email at certain times of the day. Because like you said, when you mentioned notifications, that was one of the things. My phone was always going off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting that sometimes all it takes is that small disruption to force us to think about it, because so often it's just coming at us and we're never taking a conscious decision for what we're consuming. It's just there. It's coming to us, so we'll look at it.
Yeah, it's like information overload.
Yeah. Instead of taking a moment to step back and say, is this what I want to consume? So, even if it means I've gone through and turned off a lot of notifications, because I was a slave to the red bubble, on the iPhone. Like, I'm one of those people that I need everything zeroed out. Yeah. So the solution to that, instead of constantly checking my email or constantly checking Facebook to get rid of that red dot, I turned it off. It was just like such a small step, and you don't realize how much of an impact it has. Yeah, until it's gone. Yeah. You don't realize, you're kind of like, wow, I had no idea that was weighing on me the way that it was, until it's gone.
Yeah.
Ladies, we are
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're getting ready to come up on the hour, and I've got a couple more things that I want to find out about you before we're out of time. So, Keisha, do you have courses available, evergreen courses available on your website?
Yes, and we're actually in the process of updating my course listing. So if you go to my website, there's a Beast Mode business group that's actually going to start the first week in April. And this one's a cohort of maximum of 20 people, and it's strategy development as well as implementation for action plans. So if you go on my website, you'll find information about that. The new courses that I'm actually recording, I've got 3 basically levels that people can work with me. There's there are courses that are available in social media. There's courses on strategic planning. There's courses on, I have one that I'm developing right now that says from penny pinching to profitability. And it talks about how to price your services and your products strategically. So there are a number of those that are going to be released in the second quarter. So if they go to my website at carsgroup.com with a K and they sign up for the newsletter, when it's announced, they'll get a thing in their inbox telling them here are the courses and you can go and take a look and click.
Okay. And then my next question is, do you have any affiliate opportunity on your site as well?
I am actually piloting an affiliate program second quarter again. I actually have I'm doing some strategic partners and fulfillment partners because my business is expanding and I'm realizing that I don't need to be the one doing everything. But for the affiliates, when it comes to the courses, as well as the retreats and the boot camps, I'm launching all of those on April 1st. And it's not because I'm a fool. It's because I'm jumping into all of it. So when they go to my website, they can sign up for the email newsletter. And again, all of that will be announced. And there's some things that'll have an affiliate, a program with it. Yeah. And some things that won't, but they'll be able to sign up for the ones that they want to participate in.
Okay, thank you, Keisha. I want to ask Sherry the same things. Sherry, do you have some evergreen courses on your website?
So right now I do have the Mom Blog Academy is the main evergreen course. And I don't know if you guys can see this. We'll try this. Whoop, let's see.
You can put the links in the chat too. It saves them now.
Okay. Oh, does it? That's nice.
Yeah.
So momblogacademy.co. You can go there. You can find it through momshare.com, which is momshar.com. So you can check out the whole course outline, the intro video. You get, the 6 videos and the 18-page workbook that are streaming to you. They're yours to reference whenever you need them. And you can, that's the main course that I have going on right now.
Do you have affiliate as well?
I do. So if you are interested in affiliate, you can reach out to me on social media, which my handle is the same as it is here on Blab. You can email me, momblogacademy@gmail.com, and offering affiliate stuff for the course. And we are also always looking for people to interview on the podcast. If anybody has any, sales and marketing background and you're interested, I am happy to chat with you and see if it might be a good fit, which is pushpullsales@gmail.com if you're interested in that at all. And okay. I'll put my links in the chat.
All right, ladies, and we are, Coach Karen, you are right. This was an amazing hour. And I just want to thank you both for being here. We didn't have a lot of people drop in. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with Blab. It's been really slow lately. But I got to tell you, you two both have dynamic, outgoing, very vivacious personalities that really make for an amazing hour. It's so much nicer to talk and interview and introduce people to the public that don't just sit there. You know what I mean? And trust me, that happens a lot. So I'm going to wrap up real quick, and then I want to chat with you both for a minute, but I want to wrap this up and stop our recording. I want to thank everybody for tuning into Network Live TV today. Again, we are here weekdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, and our sole goal is just to network with the world, introduce you to people that you can get to know on a very deep level in case you're looking for any of those services, the services that they're offering. And I thought we had some great chat about services that both Keisha and Sherry are offering right now that are absolutely amazing. So I hope that you both all go check out their websites. Also want to remind you that this is brought to you by networklivevirtually.com, where we do have live virtual networking groups. We have 4 of them a week running currently. There's a 5th going to be added, I think, by next week on Fridays. We are also looking for hosts for networklivevirtually.com. You must apply and be approved. So we are looking for people who are absolutely serious about building their brand and their businesses while establishing their authority and creating a larger circle of influence. You need to have 3 main qualities. You need to be a team player because our hosts promote each other. You must be self-motivated and dependable because we don't have time to babysit your virtual networking group. You got to handle it on your own. And you would be amazed how many people can't do that. So again, ladies, I just want to thank you so much and remind everybody that we will not be here tomorrow because I'm actually going to a tech conference in Orlando. Just want to say, yeah. So actually, it's a video thing. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I just want to leave everybody with this thought. Who do you want to meet?